Good morning, good afternoon, an evening, wherever you're tuning in from. Welcome to the Truck Around and Find Out show, where Keith and I are going to be discussing some topics today on autonomous trucking. And here we like to focus on the hot topics and topics surrounding the trucking, the safety community in our lives. And we're kind of based up here in northern Colorado, but we work with people throughout the United States. And today's going to be a fun topic that Keith suggested that we're going to talk about some autonomous trucking. I'm one of your co-hosts. I'm Ryan Byers, the owner of Front Range Compliance and DOT University, and we have.
And I'm Keith Couch, running Rocky Mountain Peterbilts on YouTube, and Rush Truck Centers in Greeley, Colorado is where I work. So
Fantastic. Autonomous trucks. First
Autonomous
off,
trucks.
who came up with the word autonomous?
I have no idea.
It's just not the most easiest word out there, and it's not one that I just go and instantly think, hey, that's a self-driving vehicle. But maybe I should, because it's the 21st century, and I just need to maybe update my vocabulary a little bit.
Yeah, I'm not sure. It's obviously autonomous is something you can do on your own. So an autonomous truck is a truck that drives itself. Currently, you're starting to see some running around the United States. Now, when I say running around the United States, there's only a few states that don't allow a completely autonomous truck. So in other words, nobody in the cab. I think there's 3 states. I think it's California, Texas, and it might be Florida. But I know it's California and Texas for sure. And if there's, I guess the way it is if it's going to be autonomous and driverless, totally driverless, it's only on specific routes. Probably the most famous one, or at least the one that I know about the most, is the Peterbilt's got one that runs from Dallas to Houston and back, and I think they're in partnership with Aurora Autonomous Trucks.
Wow.
And so that thing will leave a dock, get on to, I believe it's I-45, and drive itself to Houston, back up to the dock. They'll unload, and then it'll do its return trip. Obvious reasons. I mean, think of the driver shortage.
Yeah.
So, I mean.
Yeah, I'm sitting here thinking that autonomous trucks means a whole lot of people are out of work in the long run. That's the first thing that comes to mind with me. Drivers.
I think you could look at it like robots, robots in the factories, putting people out of work. But
Sure.
What we're seeing in the factories is, you got robotics doing a lot of things better than people can. They're still going to have people. Still got to have all kinds of people around every robot. So they're not really.
It's going to be a lot of maintenance, a lot of sensors, a lot of computers. It's new enough now that we don't really have any straight up data for how long this is going to last. The equipment. I think the technology is going to last a long time. But as of right now, anytime we bring something new into the system, we're dealing with new sensors, new computers. How long is it going to last? Is it going to is it going to be 100,000 miles? I mean, some of these trucks drive millions and millions of miles.
Mm-hmm.
You buy a vehicle and the technology seems like as soon as the warranty goes out, the technology starts failing. So,
Sure.
what's the maintenance and costs and stuff, upkeep going to be on that? And that's a little unknown right
I mean, they're trucks. So you got X amount per mile.
Sure.
That are going to be required for maintenance and everything. That's not going to change.
Okay.
Obviously, there's going to be a lot more sensors. They say they got about a 360-degree view all the way around the truck and about 400 yards out all the way around the truck. So, I mean, that's a lot of sensors. That's a lot of technology. Obviously, I saw one of these being built at Custom Vehicle Solutions right next to the Peterbilt factory. Rush owns that, and it happened to be a Kenworth that was in there, and they were setting it up to be an autonomous truck. And I walked up to the guy and said, "How do you keep all of these wires straight?" He had wires running out the door windows, the bottoms of the doors, the baggage doors. I mean, there were wires, hundreds of miles of wire. And I have no idea how all that is kept straight. Drive me crazy.
Oh man.
But
yeah.
But that's what it looked like. And, somebody's going to have to take care of that stuff. What Aurora and some of these other companies are saying is the benefits is safety.
Sure.
Because the computer's never sleepy. Computer's never tired. Doesn't, the hours of service go out the window. Yeah. You can just run the truck.
Yeah. That kind of reminds me of one of my first clients that I ever worked with was a company called HeliQuest, and they were based out of the Jeffco Airport. And I would go in there to work with them on their DOT programs, and they'd always have, I think at that time they had like 28 helicopters, and I'd be in there for just doing a regular service, and they'd have one of those birds in that was flying that does all the forest fires and everything else, and they'd have that thing stripped down to the frame and just hundreds of miles of wire. And part of their service, Keith, was that every so often, and I don't remember what service it was, but they had to basically strip that thing down, go through all the wiring, replace a bunch of wiring. I'm sure I'm downplaying the work that they do quite a bit, but that's for the helicopter. It's still being flown by an individual. So does that mean that, as the future, we talk about maintenance and some of these trucks, these autonomous trucks, they're going to have to because those sensors are so important. I mean, it's vital. One of them goes bad, is trucks either going to stall in the middle of the interstate or going to run into somebody. So is that kind of like, does that look at like the services that are going to have to, the long-term care of that truck? Is it going to have to be one of those that's got to come in and get stripped and rewired and,
that's a good question, and I don't have that answer.
Yeah, I know. It's just kind of wild. Well, I mean, how far are these trucks? Like, how far would they travel? I mean, when I think of an autonomous truck, I'm thinking of an electric vehicle, and I haven't done a whole lot in this realm. And one thing as we were talking about this before we started recording, you kind of dropped the bomb on us that these are diesel trucks.
Yeah, we're not talking about electric trucks. That's a whole separate topic. And then amongst that, would it be autonomous electric trucks? So that's a whole nother area. These are just diesel. They're, Cummins engines, PACCAR engines, Detroit engines, whatever. I mean, because all the manufacturers are playing in this now.
I got you.
But they can go, most trucks you can pack on about 300 gallons of fuel. So,
okay.
Figure it 5-6 miles per gallon.
Yeah.
They're 1,500 to 1,800 miles of range. Theoretically, they could do. Now, the longest haul that I know of is Dallas to Houston right now, because that's the one I have the most knowledge of, is with Peterbilt. It sounds like Aurora and Peterbilt, that sounds like they're going to have the truck scheduled to go from Houston out to El Paso and then to Phoenix and back.
Okay. That's pretty impressive. So, right now, if I want to get an autonomous truck, I just pull up to Peterbilt or Kenworth and just say, "Hey, order it from the factory that way?"
No, you cannot order it from the factory. That would be nice. CVS is Custom Vehicle Solutions. They're right next door to the Peterbilt factory, literally a block away. That's where I've seen them being upfitted.
Okay.
So they'll come out of the factory, whether Peterbilt factory's right down the street, whether it's a Freightliner, Western Star, Kenworth, it doesn't matter. CVS will upfit these. I'm sure Aurora will upfit these, with their package. So it is an aftermarket edition. I don't imagine it's cheap.
Oh, I wouldn't think so at all. But
it's
I mean,
not plug and play.
The goal of the autonomous truck is to replace the driver. Essentially, we're trying
That's the goal
for the safety. They're arguing for the safety of safety to reduce crashes. The whole purpose is to replace the driver. And even though right now we only have a couple locations in the United States where these trucks can drive with as of now, a lot of in the industry, we still would have to have a driver present to help
Correct.
control the vehicle.
Most
and
states,
that type of
that's
thing.
the case.
That is the case.
Yes.
So the enticement of, because I could say, look, if I got a fleet, if I don't have to hire a driver and pay an annual wage of whatever, then maybe the cost is there to
Correct.
put into that truck. So I don't have to pay that wage. But if I still have to put drivers in the seat, that's that's
Yeah.
kind of
So right now, most places still got to have a CDL driver in the seat.
sure.
It's got to pass all of your compliance stuff and everything like that. So at this point,
Mm-hmm.
they probably don't pay for themselves.
Gotcha.
Once you can remove that driver out, I saw some calculations over 1,000 miles with a driver and doing all your normal maintenance and fuel and wear and tear and everything on the truck. You're probably looking at about $1,000, $1,100
Mm-hmm.
to transport that, just basic cost.
Yeah.
And if you do it in an autonomous truck, you were about $600, $700.
Wow.
So it's a
Okay.
significant savings, especially when you start adding this up over a year, over a fleet,
Yeah.
plus hours of service. You can haul more freight with less trucks
Yeah.
because they can just keep going. You don't have to
Sure.
get all your breaks in.
Yeah, because you don't have to worry about the hours of service rules. Especially, if you have a driver present, I'm assuming that they're going to make you the driver, even though they're just kind of sitting in the driver's seat
Correct.
watching the truck drive.
Correct.
They're still going to have to adhere to the hours of service rules. But if they're able to to push this to where we're fully autonomous, then that truck can basically run 24/7.
And they're saying they get better fuel mileage because they ramp up
Mm-hmm.
and they do it in a more efficient way than a driver does, because they do it more consistently.
Oh, okay.
And the engine, we've got engines talking to transmissions now to make everything better, to start on an uphill grade, kind of like hill start on a truck, on a pickup.
Yeah.
You've got all these kinds of things going on. So, now that it becomes part of that autonomous system, to where predictive cruise control, so you got a hill coming up. It may increase its speed a little bit just to help get it, up the hill, but then it backs off before it crests the hill. So things like that, the predictive cruise control, all be part of that.
Wow.
And, reduced congestion is another one, because these trucks can run at night, which I know a lot of drivers that would prefer to drive at night because there's less traffic.
Sure.
And they can, one thing I thought was interesting is they can platoon these trucks, tighten them up,
Mm-hmm.
so that the forward truck, it makes it almost like a train. The forward truck is controlling the other trucks. So if it starts to brake, they all brake at the same time.
Wow. So a true caravan, they're together, and
they called it platooning.
Yeah,
I'd call it
because
caravanning.
everybody they don't like to. People don't like the term of caravanning because they see a group of trucks and it's like you can't get around them. You're stuck together.
Yeah.
So they always discourage the caravanning. Yeah. But if you got a group of trucks running together, kind of no different than like when phones get close to each other, they kind of like link up.
They link up.
Wow, that's pretty cool technology.
So again, I'm new to this too.
Yeah,
but it is very, very interesting. I'll try to get somebody on here from Peterbilt that's smarter than I am that can talk about this stuff.
Well, I'm new. To be honest with you, the whole thing kind of scares me because, we do so much work with drivers and compliance. I think the big comforting fact is autonomous trucks is, yes, it's gonna have a niche where it is, warehouse to warehouse or distribution point to distribution point, but it's a long ways from construction traffic, dirt hauling.
Correct, vocational.
The vocational type
So
work. So
this isn't going to work for a concrete mixer.
Yeah.
Or a concrete pump or the hydrovac industry.
Mm-hmm.
This isn't going to work for bull haulers,
Mm-hmm.
cattle haulers, livestock haulers. It's not going to work.
Yeah. I can definitely see some people in the industry where this is going to be a big, big situation.
Yeah, the one thing I'd like to say is it boils down to economics. It all boils down to money.
Okay.
I mean, everything in this world boils down to money, it seems like. So it's going to help with the driver shortage on the routes that aren't specialized, concrete, vocational, cattle haulers, livestock haulers. Should reduce operating costs. However, your upfront cost is going to be more. but you should be able to utilize your fleet better. So if you normally run 100 trucks and all you're doing is running widgets from LA to New York, well, you could probably do it with 50 trucks now. Probably cash outlay is going to be about the same, but you can just, caravan these to New York. They can run at night. They can run all day, all night.
Yeah.
You don't have to worry about hours of service.
Yeah.
So you can reduce your speed. If you're on a time crunch, you can reduce your speed because they don't have to have a break. They can just keep going. The only question, and we talked about this before we started recording too, is they got to be refueled at some point. So there's got to be some stopping points along the way where people are still going to have to interact with these, make sure everything's okay, top off the fuel tanks and send them back out.
Logistically, that's all kinds of.
Yeah.
I didn't even think about the fueling up. I mean, geez, I kind of skipped over that part.
Yeah.
So that's absolutely.
One of the other biggest challenges right now is weather, icy roads. I don't think that's going to be a challenge for very long because if you look at traction control, wheel slip, everything like that, that's all going to be part of that electronic architecture, the electronic brain, so to speak. So that I don't think they say right now that's a big problem, but I don't think that'll be that way for very long.
And I feel like they could do self-chaining. They could put the chain drives
Auto
on
chains.
there, the auto chains on there.
That would be an easy fix.
Yeah.
And that technology's already there.
Yeah, exactly.
And public trust, that's another one. You see a truck go by you, 80,000 pounds, and there's nobody in it.
I'm assuming though that they're going to be really calm. They're not going to be aggressive drivers.
No,
they're going to be adhering to the speed limit, proper following distances.
Oh yes.
I mean it's just kind of written into.
And if you guys just Google autonomous trucks and go to videos, there's all kinds of testing. They run mannequins out in front of them at the last minute, and they can do evasive. They can do an evasive maneuver, or they can brake. They also do aggressive driving around the truck, and how the truck kind of handles that. And one person did ask, I was watching the videos, what if somebody hacks into this truck and takes control of it? The explanation that I heard was you can't hack into it. If you could even connect to it, you can only say, hey, do this, do that. And those come in as suggestions. And it'll run it through its own algorithm of, is this right? Should I do that? And it's like, no. So the truck will just say, sorry, going to ignore that one. So that's another, I don't know enough about that yet, but.
Well, I think I know a way to get Keith to become an absolute expert. And that's these folks that are listening to us right now, to reach out to him and probably put in an order for some trucks and say, Keith, we're interested in doing some autonomous trucks. And I guarantee you will become the foremost expert in all of that. I mean, you really are spectacular at what you do.
And even they had a guy in there that was a tree hugger that said, hey, he was all for this because it's less, you're going to do more with less trucks, and they're more efficient. They're running at slower paces. They're never late. They're never behind because they don't have to take all these breaks. And so he was talking about the lower emissions as a per ton mile. So he said that's going to make all of that better. So better routing. I mean, there's a lot of benefits I see with it, to where you can get, your Walmarts, your Home Depots, you get all those shelves stocked with stuff like that. The dry vans, dry boxes, and reefers. Those are probably the industry that this would affect the most.
Yeah, I agreed completely. And, I mean, it's there is a shortage of drivers, and with the crackdown on the FMCSA and the federal crackdown on just crime in general, we're going to really be seeing probably even somewhat of a bigger shortage. But I do think that the industry is about to take a turn. Things are going to start getting better. Hopefully you start seeing some more truck sales. And, I'm hoping that, we're going to see some more on this autonomous trucking. I see a big portion of this, just like with the lines you were talking about at Walmart. I see a big portion of this with the Amazon carriers. Just as much as it's straight up. I mean, they are. It's a really unique outfit because of the way they're structured with all the warehouses where they're shipping to and from. I mean, it would be a perfect candidate, and we already see Amazon doing things in some of the big cities with, drone deliveries and different things like that. So I would fully expect to see them, kind of jumping in this realm. So Keith, what if you were going to have any departing words with anybody to send them forward for the autonomous vehicles? What are you thinking?
Holler at me and we'll learn together.
Nice, cool. Can I sit in on a couple of those calls just so I can learn too?
Sure. Yeah, absolutely.
Fantastic. Well, is there anything else you want to just throw in there that we didn't ask or didn't talk about?
No, it's kind of like Ryan said. If you got questions, you can reach out to me. There's so many spam calls anymore and stuff like that. It's best if you text me 970-691-3877. Shoot me a text, and then if I figure out it's a real person, I'll call you back.
Yeah, the dang spam calls.
Yeah.
Or
email.
I get probably 30 to 40 of those dang things a day.
Yeah,
It drives me.
I think Redbeard's
crazy.
got our emails in our show notes, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
For sure. So sure. Well, fantastic. Well, Keith, thanks for the great topic today. I'm really super excited to see what more comes out with the autonomous trucks. And, for everybody out there in the world, appreciate all the work that you're doing and that type of thing. And did you bring a TAFO today?
No, I don't think I have one today.
I don't either.
Yeah.
Okay, our TAFO of the week is we dropped the ball and didn't have a TAFO, but we got to get better about that.
Yeah,
we got to make sure we have a truck around and find out topic. I'm sure if I dug deep, I could probably come up with one, but that's okay. We'll get better.
I did think of one, and it's from a lot of years ago when I worked for GMC. We did medium duties. Local company bought a truck with a 20-foot flatbed and a hoist. He mostly hauled trees. He'd cut down trees and fill up that 20-foot flatbed with sides with trunks, limbs, debris, whatever, anything from that tree. And he said something about doing some landscaping too. And I said, well, hang on a second. If you're going to put gravel or sand in this thing, you can't fill it. You cannot do that because I said that hoist will open, but it won't push the bed up. It's going to take your frame and push it into the ground. I said the hoist will open, but you're not going to like the results. And it wasn't 2 weeks. He called madder than a hornet. He put an employee in it, threw a bunch of wet sand in it, which is about as dense as water. That's really bad. And the bed wouldn't go up. So, of course, he revs up the engine. Got to get that hoist to push that up. Well, it didn't. But it did shove his frame right into the ground on a brand new truck.
Oh, no.
So,
geez.
yeah, I told him, I said, I think we had this conversation.
Yeah.
He
You're
was
like,
madder
I'm pretty sure
than
I
a hornet.
documented that one.
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness. Yeah.
madder than a hornet. And pretty sure that guy got fired.
Yeah.
But that's
he did.
that's what an employee would do. It's not going up. Rev it up.
Rev it up. Rev it up.
And he ran the frame right into the ground. So
Darn it.
had to reframe a brand new truck.
Oh, my gosh.
Which is not cheap.
That's definitely not cheap. That's a good one. That's a good truck.
But that's all I got.
That's it. All right, perfect. Well, I appreciate it. I didn't come prepared for that this morning. But, again, out to our trucking community and people listen to us, thanks for what you do and keeping America moving forward by delivering all of our products and keeping us in stock. Definitely appreciate you. Be safe out there and catch you on the next show.
Yep. Be safe, guys. God bless you.